Hi, and welcome to this 30-minute yoga practice. I'm Andrea. So glad you have joined me. I'm standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, it's fine. A carpeted area that isn't too slippery is going to do you well. If you do have a mat, or even if you don't, your best bet is to position yourself facing me, so the short edge of your mat is facing me the whole time. I'm likely to move my mat around, but you don't have to move yours. I've also got a couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, then thick books would be fine. A folded blanket or big beach towel will really be handy for this practice. And it's always nice to have a chair just in case. Some practices we actually use it quite a bit. This one will be a little bit more of a suggestion of a chair. Now, once you're all settled and figured out, let's land in our favorite place to meet up, mountain pose. Standing in your mountain with your feet hip distance apart, turn your palms away from each other and think about finding beautiful posture, leaning your head back a little bit. Not lifting your chin, leaning your head back, but let your chin stay parallel to the ground and lean back. So we have ears over shoulders, over hips, over heels, and a slight bend in our knees. You can close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that, or just soften your gaze so the arrows of attention turn inward. A big component of this practice is inward versus distractedly outward turn. Another huge component is our breathing. Experiment with breathing just through your nose, both the inhale and, if you can, the exhale. Of course, if that's not working, if you're stuffed up or anything else, just awareness around your breath is great. Slow your breathing down a little bit. Nothing extreme, just a deep, full inhale. Perhaps a little pause at the top. And a complete exhale with maybe a little beat at the bottom. We'll stop here, I'll be silent, and you can just listen to your breath. Stopping so that we can start. Adding on, inhale, arms out to the side, a V shape overhead. Thumbs face the sky, and then exhale, just float your arms back along your sides. Again, inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. And then exhale and float your arms alongside you. Keep that little bit of bend in your knees. Inhale, arms out and up, a V shape. And then exhale, float your arms along your side. We'll add on, inhale, arms out and up, a V shape. This time exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to the tops of your thighs. Traction a little bit as you inhale and grow length through your spine. Increase the crease at the hips a little when you exhale, and then inhale, arms out and up, V shape overhead. Float your arms alongside you. One more time like that. Inhale, arms out and up, a V shape, and then exhale, hinge at your hips, take your hands to your thighs. Inhale, traction, a little bit more length through your spine, and then exhale, increase the hinge at your hips just a bit. Inhale, arms out and up, V shape. Keep that little soft bend in your knees if you don't mind, and then float your arms along your side. Take your arms out in front of you. Interlace your hands. Keep the bend in your knees. Turn gently to your right. You can keep a little bend in the elbows, and then turn gently to your left. And we can just let that become a bit rhythmic. We're not trying to become human corkscrews. We're just letting a little bit of a twisting action find us in our warm-up, and that's key. We're warming up. We're not totally warm yet, so go slowly, mindfully, thoughtfully. We'll take another round to the right, and then to the left, and then we're going to come down the middle and just turn your palms away from you and head back into our little gentle twist to the right and to the left. Keep your bend in your knees. You can think of the exhale being the twist and the inhale being when you come back to center. It's not an exact science. If it's not quite working out that way, just keep breathing and have fun. The fun and the breath the important parts. Now, once you're done with your left side, come down the middle, unlace. Take your arms along your side, keep that soft bend in your knees. Inhale, arms out and up, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, increase the hinge at the hips a bit. Inhale, arms out to the side, a V shape. Now keep the bend in your knees, just take your hands out in front of you, interlace palms face you, over to your right with your twist, through center, maybe that's your inhale, over to the left. Come back to center, flip your palms over to the right. Little lift of your low belly would be a good idea, and then over to the left. Come back down the middle, keep the bend in your knees, unlace your hands, take your arms in a V shape overhead, and then stand into your mountain once more. Inhale, arms out and up, a little bit of a bend in our knees. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips a little. Inhale, arms out to the side, a V shape. We keep the bend in our knees. Hands interlace out in front of you, little bend to your elbows, over to the right. Maybe that's an exhale. Inhale to the center. Exhale, float to the left. Back to center, flip your palms over to the right. And back to center. Over to the left. Back to center, unlace your hands. V shape overhead as we inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hips. We'll take that half salutation. Hands to your thighs. Inhale, heart extends. Exhale, a little bit of crease increased in the hips, but no head below hips. And then V shape overhead, and we stand into our mountain. This is where you may enjoy using the base of your chair, or position your two blocks. I would say position them their tallest. And this is key. It's not right on your mat underneath your feet. Let it be at the edges of your mat so you've got some working space in between them. With your chair, you may need to kind of move that a little bit closer depending on how it works for you. I'll give you options for both. Stand in your mountain. Inhale, arms out to the side, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, take your hands to your thighs. Inhale, heart extends forward. This is where you might place your hands on the base of your chair or place your hands on the tall blocks. Then, carefully step your left foot back and we're in a lunge. We're looking to find a very long spine. Swing your right hip back and your left hip forward so it doesn't turn into this kind of a thing. We always want to be cautious that we're not letting our head drop below our hips. So if you find that beautiful posture from our mountain pose and you stir that in here, all will be well. Now find your breath. And as you do, let's build this architecture, the structure of the pose from the ground up. So you're stamping your right heel into your mat. You're swinging that right hip back as we talked about. Your back leg is strong as if it were almost supporting you in a plank position. And then we have all that mountain glory in our spine from the waist out the crown of our head. Stay for 2 moments here in silence. Now we're going to give our right leg a little bit of a reprieve. Hands stay on your blocks or hands stay on the base of your chair. Head stays above hips. Start to work that front leg towards straight. And I mean towards. It may not straighten out, that's fine. Remember our ground up architecture. So now start to press the right big toe mound a little bit into the ground. Keep swinging your right hip back and let it be a sweet little stretch on the back of that right leg. A moment ago it was bent, which means the muscles were contracting and warming up, and now we're letting them extend a little bit, stretch out a little bit. 2 moments just like this. Rebend your right knee, firm through your belly. Step your left foot hip distance from your right, hands to your thighs. Inhale, heart extends. Exhale, a little bit more hinge, and then inhale, arms out and up, a V shape overhead. Stand into your mountain between sides. Second side, inhale, arms out and up, a little bit of a buffer of bend in your knees like in our warm-up. Hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs. Inhale, get a bit longer through your spine, and then place your hands on the base of your chair or onto your tall blocks, and this time your right foot will step back. We make our way into our lunge, left hip swinging back, right hip swinging forward, mountain pose evident from the waist up, a lift of our low belly so we're not letting any collapse take over. We're cautious not to let our head drop lower than our hips. Now stand into your left heel. You'll actually feel the back of your left leg called to action even more when you do that. It's good because it's keeping our knee safe. And then think of your back leg as being almost like in a plank. So you can press that thigh bone of your right leg into the hamstring. Grow a little longer. Support that with a lift in your low belly. And then a few moments here in silence, like a meditation, because actually this is all a moving meditation. You're doing great. 2 more moments. Now slowly, and let the emphasis go into the left big toe mound. We'll start to straighten the front leg, but I want you to keep your left hip swinging back so we don't let this business happen. That's not the alignment we want, and also that threatens to get our head lower than our hips. Remember, that's our deal. We're not going there. And it doesn't need to get all the way straight. You're moving in the direction of being straight. Super key. A few more moments here. Can you find the length of your spine from the waist out the crown of your head, like our mountain? And I'll be quiet so you can weave your breath into this new pyramid shape. Fantastic. Start to bend your left knee and then carefully step. Right foot hip distance from left. Your hands can be on your blocks or the base of your chair. Then transition them to your thighs. Inhale, get some length. Exhale, a little bit more crease at the hips. And then inhale, arms out and up, V shape overhead. Stand into your mountain. Really good. Adding on. Inhale, arms out and up, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs. Inhale, lengthen, the most length we've gotten so far. Then hands to your chair or to your blocks. Step your left foot back and lower your back knee, at which point you might decide that you want to use your blanket. I'm just going to move my chair so that you can better see me. Your blanket might want to go underneath your left knee. So a little padding is kind of a nice thing here. Now it's not that you can't use your chair, because you can certainly use your hands on the base of your chair for this. If you have blocks or books, take both blocks to the inside of your right foot. And now start to lengthen through your spine. You can also walk your right foot forward, your left knee back, so you start to feel a little bit more of a stretch. Stay long through your spine. Some of us might come onto the forearms. And I just want you to make sure that the length of your spine remains. We're still not crumbling and lowering our head beneath our hips, right? I know we're lower to the ground, but we still have that awareness of head above the hips and hips not swinging out. Right hip drawing back, left hip drawing forward. When you get that sweet spot of stretch, nothing that feels exotic, just something that feels like it's working, we'll take our silent meditation. This pose is called Humble Warrior. It always humbles me. The stretch does, and so does the stretch of stillness and silence, right? Now come onto your blocks. You can always use your hands on the base of your chair, and then transfer one of your blocks to the outside of the right foot, and then curl the toes back like the pyramid pose that we did. We just happen to be doing that now on our back knee. If at this point you realize, my goodness, I wish I had padding, you always can carefully, mindfully leave the pose. Give yourself what you need and then come back. Here as well, we're not rounding the spine and collapsing. We're lengthening. It's a hinge at the hips like in our sun salutation. And then lastly, can you almost feel like you're using your blocks or your chair to draw your chest through the gateway of your arms? Almost like a little tiny smiling of the collarbones back bend. A couple moments here. So excellent. Now bend your front knee and either use your blocks or the base of your chair to switch sides in a different way. So right knee meets left knee and then left foot steps forward. Since we're down here, we're going to stay down here. And then this is our humble warrior. So both blocks on the inside of the left foot. You can always make a little bit more distance between your left heel and your right knee. Totally great to have your hands on the base of your chair. Maybe forearms come down onto your blocks. We're still thinking a dusting of back bend in the upper back. We're making sure we're not crumbling our head lower than our hips. And then once you find just enough sensation for it to be interesting, we stay in the humbleness of our humble warrior meditation. Last couple of moments here. Now, come onto your hands if you were on your forearms. That can be hands on your chair or on your blocks. Move one of your blocks if you're using them to the outside of your left foot. Straighten that front leg. Give yourself what you need. Think left hip back and right hip forward. It's a hinge at the hips. You're curling your toes back. And just take note, as part of the stretch that you're feeling, that we were moving a lot at the beginning of the practice. And now we're quite still. We want to make room for movement and stillness in our lives. All stillness and we need a little bit of movement. All movement and things feel a little chaotic. Sip the stillness here for a moment. Really great. Now bend your left knee and then swoop your knees so that you're kneeling or kind of on hands and knees or blocks and knees. Move your props. So we will move the blocks. You may want to move your chair a little bit, but we'll sit in a cross-legged seat. And this is where I'm a huge fan of a folded blanket. You could even grab a pillow to sit on, because I think a little bit of extra height is really helpful to the discovery of our mountain in our seat. Now let's cross the right shin in front, and it's not so much across at the ankles. Walk your feet so that your knees are over your ankles. It's a little bit more of a deep cross than it is a loose cross. Once you're seated, arms out to the side, a V shape overhead. Think back to how we began, but we'll turn to the right and pause. So as opposed to the movement that we found in our warm-up, let this be still for a few moments. Every inhale, grow taller as if in your mountain, and every exhale, just a little bit of rotation through the spine. 3 moments here. Now come down the middle, relax your hands into your lap for a moment. Arms out to the side, a V shape. Turn it to the left and let it be still for a moment here. Remember, we weren't becoming human corkscrews at the beginning. Same here. But when we sustain it, it just has a different crop of sensation. So every inhale, you grow tall. Every exhale, you just stay in that little bit of a sticky zone. And that's where we meditate. Now just unwind, release your hands into your lap. Recross your legs, so lean back. You can give them a little waggle if that's nice. Cross the left shin in front and Make sure it's that deeper cross, and then sit tall. I invite you to close your eyes or just gaze with a soft gaze and find the inward versus distractedly outward turn we talked about at the very beginning. 1 full minute of meditation together here. That was excellent. You did it. You managed to find the humble warrior in the cross-legged seat. You know what I mean? Now start to come out of your seated cross-legged. If that waggle is nice, then give yourself that. And we'll move our blanket off to the side. Come onto your belly. Take your time getting there. So just be on your belly and bring your forearms onto your mat. Traction your elbows towards you. Lift your low belly. Let your chin stay parallel to the ground. And encourage that little dusting of a back bend right into the shoulder blade area. Press the tops of your feet down into your mat. So much that it kind of feels like your kneecaps are coming off your mat. We're not looking for a super big back bend. We want length through our spine. So you know when we put our hands on our thighs in our sun salutation, think of this as being a cousin to that pose. Smile your collarbones. Take a couple more moments to breathe here. You do want to feel your low belly lifting away from the ground, that support of this length that you're tractioning into your spine. Now gently release down, make a pillow with your hands, rest your forehead on your hands. I'm not going to do that because I will eat my microphone. And then bend your knees, gently windshield wiper your legs side to side. Just so it releases anything in your low back. You might feel a little something. It should disappear in no time. We try to emphasize the back bend being in the shoulder blade area. And then roll over onto your back. Once you're lying on your back, place your feet. So bend your knees, place your feet on your mat, hip distance. Hold the edges of your mat. If you don't have a mat, that's fine, but snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. Lift your low belly like we did in our Sphinx pose. All we'll do is lift very gently, hips a few inches off the ground. And this too, we're looking for a long back bend. So imagine that your tailbone is lengthening to the back of your knees, and then gently release your hips to your mat. And maybe you feel the tiniest bit taller through your spine. One more careful round of that. Lift your hips straight up. Let your tailbone feel like it's long. Make sure that you're supporting all the space you're finding with a lift to the low belly. And then ease your hips back down onto the ground. Now think of our windshield wipers. We'll do that facing upright. So cactus your arms. Let both of your knees fall over to the right, but keep your feet wide like they still want to be at the edges of your mat. This is plenty. If for any of you it feels good to pick up your right foot and place that over your left thigh, just make sure that's not too much for your left knee or anything else. And pause here to luxuriate for a few moments. If it becomes too much with that ankle crossed on top of the thigh, just join us with that right foot on the ground. It might feel better to you. Let there be stillness here. It's the lying down version of the twisting that we did with lots of movement at the beginning, and now it is the twist with stillness. Now come through center and just pause for a moment. Make sure everything feels okay on that first side. Both knees fall over to the left. Your feet stay as wide as your mat. If it feels good to pick up your left foot and cross that carefully across the right thigh, I leave it to you. You're the expert of your body. I'm only a guide. But I want it to be a place that's comfortable enough that we can find stillness for a full minute here. Make sure you're breathing the whole time. "30 more seconds here. And again, masterful meditators, you have done it. If your ankle is crossed on the thigh, carefully place it on the ground, and then come back to the center for all of us. We're going to take a little special time to set up our Shavasana final meditation. Keep your feet as wide as your mat. Let your knees fall in on each other. And now relocate your arms along your side and snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you like we did in our bridge. Let your palms face the sky. Now you might, not as high as our bridge, but you might just a tiny, tiny bit lift your hips and get that length that we found in our bridge pose, and then lower your hips back down onto the ground. There's nothing wrong with staying just like this for our Shavasana final meditation, or let one leg and then the other straighten with your feet flopping open. Consider the possibility of covering your eyes or closing your eyes. And then the ultimate silent moment to digest our practice. Shavasana final meditation. Now start to deepen your breath. If you'd like to stay longer in your Shavasana final meditation, you're always welcome to do that. It might feel nice if you're on your way back to stretch your arms and legs in opposite directions as if you were waking up all over again, refreshed and renewed. And then bend your knees and place your feet on your mat. Carefully roll to either side. Use your hands so your head can be the very last thing to come up, and then make your way into a comfortable seat. You could even sit back on your folded blanket or pillow, palms up or down. Take a moment of stillness to appreciate the shift, how different we feel after we've practiced than we did before. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing it again together soon.